Women with disabilities are warning they'll be left behind by the government's escaping violence payments if eligibility isn't urgently expanded. Women fleeing a violent partner are eligible for the $5,000 payment, but that doesn't apply to those trying to escape a carer or a family member. Here's Sophie Cusworth, who's the acting CEO of Women with Disabilities Australia. Hi there, Sophie, good to see you. So why is there this exclusion for women with disabilities who are escaping a carer or a family member? Why can't they get this payment?
Right, so the eligibility criteria for this payment requires that a person is leaving violence perpetrated by an intimate partner. Women with disabilities are almost twice as likely as women without disabilities to experience violence from an intimate partner. So this kind of support is really critical, but we're concerned that the focus is solely on intimate partner violence and not the broader forms of gender-based family and domestic violence that women with disabilities often experience from not only intimate partners but parents, carers, workers and institutions.
So there's a different need, is there, for women with disabilities, that they're more vulnerable to abuse by people other than by their intimate partner?
Absolutely, and I think what's really critical is recognising that women with disabilities are not inherently vulnerable, but we are made vulnerable by institutions, laws and policies that are not set up for us. And it's really critical that we see mainstream prevention and response efforts be inclusive of the needs of people with disabilities.
Right, so as well as extending the payment to women with disabilities who've suffered abuse by a carer or by a family member, Sophie, what other steps would you like to see taken in the space of domestic violence against women with disabilities?
So I think implementation of the recommendation from the Disability Royal Commission regarding a disability inclusive definition of family and domestic violence is really important. So the Royal Commission recognised that our current frameworks are not really understanding the domestic settings that women with disabilities or people with disabilities live in, the types of violence that we might experience, and the types of domestic relationships that we might have, which might include relationships with carers and support workers. So the Royal Commission recommended that the Australian government adopt a disability inclusive definition of family and domestic violence that would include those relationships, include those forms of violence, and include all domestic settings that we're living in. And I think that's so critical because the absence of a nationally consistent and disability inclusive definition of family and domestic violence has consequences for what supports and what protections are available.
The government, though, says that there are no plans to lower eligibility requirements, that the payment is for women who want to leave an intimate partner relationship, and that those escaping violence perpetrated by someone other than their intimate partner will be directed to other services and support. The minister's saying that there are other supports out there. What's your response to that?
Yes, although there are other supports out there, it's a matter of considering whether they're actually working and whether they're fit for purpose. So I understand that there's been some discussion around women with disabilities who experience violence from carers going to the NDIS Quality and Safeguards Commission. Our understanding from the findings of the NDIS review and the Disability Royal Commission is that the NDIS Quality and Safeguards Commission is not fit for purpose and it's failing to adequately respond to and prevent violence against people with disabilities. It's also really important that we remember that people with disabilities need to be included in mainstream efforts rather than relegating these efforts to a matter for the disability community. Segregation from the broader community is at the heart of the harm, the violence and the discrimination that we experience, and it's really important that we're not just sort of putting this within the disability sector to resolve.
Sophie Cusworth, thank you.
Thank you.